If you blink this offseason, you probably miss one of the wildest, most aggressive team overhauls in recent NFL memory, and it came from the Pittsburgh Steelers. The black and gold just added one of the most explosive wide receivers in the league, paired him with a Hall of Fame quarterback, and overhauled key pieces of their roster. It's bold, it's aggressive, and it might just be what finally gets Pittsburgh over the hump. But will it actually work? Let's break down exactly what's changed and what it means for the Steelers in 2025. For almost a decade, the Steelers have been stuck in one of the most frustrating cycles in football. Consistently competitive, but never quite good enough. Since 2016, Mike Tomlin's teams have failed to win a single playoff game. That is 8 straight years without a postseason victory. And while Tomlin has never had a losing season, an incredible stat in today's NFL, the lack of playoff success has begun to overshadow the regular season stability. Fans are growing impatient. Analysts are questioning if the voice has grown stale. And inside the building, it seems the Steelers have finally realized that something needs to change in a big way. Enter DK Metcalf. The Steelers kicked off their offseason with a massive trade to acquire the Seahawks star wideout, giving up a 2025 second-round pick and future draft swaps. And they did not waste time either. Pittsburgh immediately signed Metcalf to a 5-year, $150 million extension, showing the league that he's not just a rental, he's a foundational piece. And the fit couldn't be more perfect. At 6'4" and 230 pounds, Metcalf brings elite speed, physicality, and a massive catch radius. He's coming off yet another productive season. 992 yards and 8 touchdowns in Seattle, and now steps into a featured role in Pittsburgh's offense. But it's not just about the stats. The Steelers needed a tone setter. Someone who could line up outside, dominate defensive backs, and give their new quarterback a trustworthy deep threat. And Metcalf fits that bill exactly. From his early work in OTAs, he's already begun developing chemistry with his quarterback, and taking on a leadership role in a relatively young receiver room. He's also been vocal about wanting to set a different tone in Pittsburgh. More physicality, more urgency, and more accountability. It's not often you see a newly acquired star player step into a team and command instant respect, but that's what Metcalf has done. He brings playoff experience, elite production, and the kind of edge that defines Steelers football. And speaking of quarterbacks, this is where things get really interesting. Just days after the Metcalf trade, the Steelers made headlines again by signing 4-time MVP Aaron Rodgers to a 1-year, $13.65 million deal, with $10 million guaranteed. It's one of the most stunning free agent moves in recent franchise history. Rodgers, who turns 42 this season, is coming off a few injury-ridden years with the Jets, but by all accounts, he's healthy now, and hungry. And Pittsburgh isn't asking him to be the 2011 version of himself. They're asking him to be smart, accurate, and composed. And that's what Rodgers does best. The Steelers needed a grown-up in the quarterback room. After years of instability with Kenny Pickett, Mitchell Trubisky, Mason Rudolph, and others, Pittsburgh finally has a true veteran presence. Rodgers gives them instant credibility, on the field and in the locker room. He can process defenses at an elite level, hit tight windows, and protect the football. And perhaps just as importantly, he seems completely bought into the mission. Rodgers has already spoken highly of Mike Tomlin, praising his leadership and locker room control. He reportedly played a role in helping pitch Metcalf on the Steelers' vision and has taken a hands-on role during camp. Of course, there's a reason why Rodgers came at such a reasonable price. This isn't the version of Rodgers who won back-to-back MVPs in 2020 and 2021. This is a veteran coming off a torn Achilles, a player who hasn't played a full season since leaving Green Bay, and someone whose recent years has been filled with just as much drama as production. But the Steelers are betting on context. They're betting that behind a much better offensive line, in a more structured locker room, and without the crushing spotlight of New York media, Rodgers can find a second wind. Not forever, not even for 3 seasons. Just one. That's all Pittsburgh needs. One locked in, focused year from one of the smartest quarterbacks to ever play the game. There's also a scheme fit element that makes sense. New offensive coordinator Zach Robinson, who came over from the Rams, runs a variation of the Shanahan-style system, heavy on motion, play action, and quick reads. That plays to Rodgers' strengths. He doesn't have to carry the offense the way he did in Green Bay. The Steelers want him to get the ball out quickly, use the run game to control the tempo, and take deep shots when the defense creeps up. It's a formula that's worked in San Francisco, Miami, and Los Angeles. Pittsburgh is hoping it works here, too. But that upside came at a cost. Just as the Rodgers buzz reached its peak, Pittsburgh shocked the NFL world again by trading George Pickens to the Dallas Cowboys. Pickens, known for his highlight reel catches and explosive upside, was sent packing in exchange for a 2026 third-round pick and a 2027 fifth. The return raised eyebrows, but sources close to the team say it wasn't purely a football decision. Pickens had reportedly clashed with coaches and teammates, struggled with consistency, and raised concerns about maturity. With Rodgers coming in, the Steelers made a clear choice. They weren't going to risk team chemistry. That decision says a lot about where Pittsburgh is mentally. In previous years, they might have rolled the dice, hoping talent would outweigh the headaches. But this version of the Steelers is different. They're putting a premium on leadership, buy-in, and locker room alignment. That's why Metcalf was such a priority. That's why Pickens was moved. And that's why Rodgers, despite all the drama he carried in New York, is being trusted as a unifying source. Even without Pickens, this is still a solid receiver team. Metcalf gives them their true number one. Calvin Austin III is a shifty, explosive option in the slot. And while Chase Claypool is no longer with the team, the Steelers still have intriguing depth behind their top options, including young players looking to carve out bigger roles. Add in tight ends Pat Freiermuth and Darnell Washington, one of the better 1-2 combos at the position, and the Steelers have a versatile, dangerous group of pass catchers. One major change, though, is in the backfield. Najee Harris, who had been the team's workhorse for the last several seasons, is gone. Whether due to contract issues, declining efficiency, or a shift in defensive philosophy, Pittsburgh chose to move on. That leaves Jaylen Warren as the likely lead back. A more explosive, dynamic runner, but one who hasn't yet carried a full workload over a full season. The Steelers are betting that speed and versatility can outweigh raw power and volume in the run game. Defensively, the Steelers doubled down on their identity. They brought back veteran cornerback Darius Slay, who at 34 is still playing at a high level and gives them a dependable presence in the secondary. Malik Harrison also re-signed, bringing toughness and range to the linebacker core. On the line, they made the tough choice to move on from Larry Ogunjobi, clearing cap space and making room for younger talent. One of these young pieces is rookie Derek Harmon, their first-round pick from Oregon. Harmon is a disruptive force on the interior, projecting as a long-term answer at defensive tackle. In the draft, Pittsburgh stayed true to their roots. Along with Harmon, they selected Iowa running back Caleb Johnson in the second round, a hard-nosed downhill runner built for AFC North football. They also added Ohio State edge rusher Jack Sawyer and defensive tackle Yahya Black to bolster the front seven. The only quarterback they took was Will Howard from Kansas State, a sixth-round developmental pick, who likely won't see the field anytime soon. All of this points to one thing. The Steelers are going all in on this year with Rodgers, while also planting seeds for the future. The AFC North remains brutally competitive. The Bengals still have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. The Ravens are fast and physical. The Browns have a stacked defense and playmakers all over the offense. But the Steelers now have something they haven't had in years: an identity. They're no longer just hoping their defense can drag them to 9-8. They're swinging big. And if Rodgers and Metcalf click the way Pittsburgh hopes they will, this team can absolutely go toe-to-toe with anyone in the conference. Which brings us back to Mike Tomlin. This might be the most important season of his career. The playoff drought is hanging over everything. Ownership has stuck with him, but at some point, results have to come. The roster is too talented to go one and done. Rodgers won't be here for 5 more years. The defense is in its prime, the pressure is real, and it's now. If this season ends like so many others, with a wildcard loss and a press conference about how we'll grow from this, then the narrative around Tomlin will shift from underappreciated to underdelivering. The Steelers have made their move. They traded talent for chemistry. They went from quarterback chaos to Aaron Rodgers. They paired a Hall of Fame arm with a freakish number 1 receiver, and they did it all in one offseason. The pieces are there. The excuses are gone. What do you think? Can Rodgers stay healthy and deliver a playoff run? Is DK Metcalf the perfect fit in Pittsburgh, or will Pickens' absence haunt them down the stretch? Can Tomlin finally silence the doubters? Drop your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you're a fan of hard-hitting NFL breakdowns, don't forget to like and subscribe. This could be the most important season for the Steelers in over a decade. Now it's time to prove it on the field.